I get this question really often about how Mustangs are shipping to slaughter because they are federally protected. Well, the government likes you to think that they're federally protected, but in reality, those federal protections are very limited and don't encompass much at all. Let's talk about it. So, reservations across the United States are our first category where wild horses are located and rounded up from. Reservation horses have no federal protection whatsoever, and they're categorized as stray livestock on the reservations. So they are rounded up and often in huge numbers and dropped off at public auctions. And what happens at public auction is either an individual decides they want to adopt and take in a wild horse, which is actually quite rare because people are very intimidated by the idea of training a wild horse. And the second thing that happens is kill buyers. They'll just buy a whole bunch of unhandled horses because they're cheap, no one else really wants them, and they can just run a whole bunch of them onto their trailer and take them straight to Mexico or Canada to be slaughtered across the border. Slaughter is illegal in the United States, so we don't have any operating horse slaughter plants, but there are slaughter plants across both the Canadian border and the Mexican border. So either way it goes, the horses are able to be shipped whether they go north or south. The second sort of section of wild horses we have are horses that are on national forest land, and these horses fall under the Forest Service. So the Forest Service dictates whether they get to stay there, whether they protect them, or whether they round them up. And the Forest Service in the specific area also decides whether they will enact certain protections over the horses they do remove. There are several forest services that do an amazing job at making sure their horses go to good homes. There are others that really don't do so well, such as our alpine wild horses that we have over 50 of at this point. They are just rounded up, placed into a public auction that is really obscure, or she takes a whole truckload down to Texas to the Bowie auction, which is notorious for kill buyers being present, and the pin itself is a kill pin. So any horse that doesn't sell or that the kill pin wants to buy to ship to Mexico themselves, that will happen. So they ship from there as well. And the Forest Service doesn't care that that's been happening to our alpines. 50 of them have gone through the Bowie auction at this point. Luckily, various rescues and a large sanctuary have stepped in and been able to place the horses that have been taken there so far. So that's good news. But they're by far not protected. Anything can happen to them, and the Forest Service really doesn't care. The third and final sector is the BLM. And we've all seen the videos and how horridly they treat the horses. However, that is actually the organization with the most federal protection. So they round up horses and they keep them in holding. There's about 80,000 plus in holding and 20,000 more rounded up each year, with only about 3,000 being adopted out each year. Now, once a BLM horse is adopted out, the horse, provided that it is under 10 years of age, is technically still the government's property for 1 year. So they are federally protected for 1 year, and the adopter can't just do whatever they want with that horse. When that 1 year runs out, the horse is titled, meaning the government no longer has ownership. The adopter takes over full ownership, and at that point, they can do whatever they want with the horse, including take them to an auction, or take them across the border, or drop them at a kill pin. So the federal protection runs out after the horse has been adopted for 1 year. And to make matters worse, on the BLM's end, they have been paying adopters $1,000 for every horse that's adopted, with a maximum of 4 per person per year. And so they pay that out in 2 payments, typically, one at 6 months and one at 1 year. So after that year, these people get paid, and sometimes we see families of 8 people or so, and each one gets 4 horses. So after a year, that's a large chunk of money coming from the BLM through their adoption incentive program. And then we see this whole large group of horses from this whole family dumped at auction or dumped at a kill pin. So it's a real problem, and it happens with horses from any of these 3 sections. Reservation horses, no protection. Forest Service, depends on the location, and even then, bad situations always happen. BLM, we see it all the time, branded horses in kill pens fixing to ship. So even though they have the most federal protection, it still does not help them actually not be shipped across the borders to Mexico to be slaughtered. And the 2 Mustang mares that we are fundraising for right now, that we'd like to call Yin and Yang, they are reservation Mustangs. So no federal protection whatsoever. They most likely were rounded up, went through an auction, and then ended up straight in this kill pen. Probably there wasn't even any intermediate homes in the mix there. So it's a really terrible situation, and we really want to bring in these 2 mares. They don't deserve to ship to slaughter on Sunday, so if you can help at all with that, please share posts fundraising for those mares. We're getting really close to our goal, which means that we can make this happen for them, but we need your guys' help. So please donate if you can. You can find the link in our bio. It's Mission Fabricius Reservation Mustang Mares. Just click on that and it'll take you to the fundraiser page. Thank you guys so much, and let's share this post so that people are aware that our Mustangs are not federally protected and they are shipping to slaughter every single day. It's unfortunate. It sucks, it's terrible, and the government really needs to do better.